Good evening, everyone. I, Riddhi Sangvi, would like to welcome all of you for today's session on the topic Cold Chain Insights and Opportunities. Before we begin, let me take a minute to introduce all of you to FoodYaari. FoodYaari is an all inclusive educational platform for all your study needs and information regarding various aspects of food science and technology. It gives an enriching learning experience in the form of articles, quizzes, webinars, courses, and much more. You even get to interact and learn alongside like minded food technologists. This is a gentle reminder for all the students who are attending today's session. E-certificates will be provided to you, but for that you will have to wait till end of the session to listen further instructions. Let's start today's session. Now I will introduce our guest speaker of the evening, Ms. Sneha Agarwal. Sneha ma'am is currently working as a deputy manager in operations department at Snowman Logistics Limited. She has completed her BTech in food technology from Haldia Institute of Technology and MTech in food supply chain management from NIFTEM. Hello ma'am.
Hi Riddhi, thanks for the introduction.
Ma'am also has worked with some of the very renowned institutes and organizations in our country, and in her leisure time, she likes to read and travel. Ma'am, it is our honor to have you here this evening. Thank you for coming here and sharing your valuable experience.
Thanks Riddhi, thanks for having me on. So
After
hi
the
everyone.
sorry, after the session or after ma'am will give her introduction, we will open the chat box and everyone can put their questions in the box. Please, ma'am, continue.
Thanks once again Riddhi. So hi everyone, I hope all of you are doing great. So it's been a good opportunity to be here at FoodYaari. I am Sneha Agarwal and I have been working with Snowman Logistics since past 6 years in the operations department. And Snowman Logistics is one of the leading cold chain industry in India at present. And we are present across 17 cities and we have around 44 warehouses across the country. So, going ahead with the topic that we have today, cold chain insights and opportunities. So, when we think about cold chain, what is the first thing that might come into our mind? Anyone would like to answer? Riddhi would like to say something.
Ice cream. For me, ice cream comes in my mind if I think of cold chain.
Okay, so that's a good one. So, cold chain essentially, if we say what is a cold chain, if I want to simplify and present in a simple language, cold chain is a walk in space where you can keep your perishable items in a temperature controlled system. And what it does is it helps in reducing the microbial load of the perishables and thus increases the shelf life. It not essentially increases the shelf life but helps you extend the shelf life of your produce. So when we talk about cold chain, so majorly it is food and pharmaceuticals. Food also we have like majorly it will be meat, dairy, and to a large extent it is agro produce, which is horticulture, fruits and vegetables. Now if we talk about cold chain, what is the need of having a cold chain in our country? So India, is a biggest, it's one of the biggest producer for fruits and vegetables, and we are also exporting it to a lot of countries. But at the back end, if we see, one third of the the produce every year, it gets spoiled, it gets rotten, and it gets rejected from the import, which accounts to approximately 500 million of the produce. So there are two three factors. One is that because of the existing technologies, especially the farm to when we are bringing it to our processing units, is the on field technology, especially the factors like field heat or pre processing before processing your produce. It is an important factor which plays a factor in extending the shelf life or reducing the damages. Secondly, if you see, you know, we have recently in past 2 3 years we have also encountered that there is a lot of food wastage, and there is a rise of fruits and in the prices of fruits and vegetables in the market. So coming back to, what is the essential need of cold chain, I would say, there is a very much need to set up right from the farm to the end level of the consumer, so that you get a good quality product and your product is safe, right? And also, if I talk about a cold chain, so uh, cold chain usually is a place which provides you with a wide range of temperature, and it can range from chill to frozen and then we have an extended part of cold chain, which is the dry warehouse also. So the temperature, if you say for chill, it ranges usually from 2 to 10 degrees centigrade, and for frozen, minus 18 to minus 25. And then it can be customized upon the what is the requirement of your product and what is the requirement of the businesses. Yeah. So with that, Riddhi, would you like to go ahead?
Yeah, so indeed, this was a very short and power packed informative introduction for our topic cold chain insights and opportunities. I am sure everyone over here is very excited to listen to more questions and answers on this topic. So let's start the session, question answer session. The first question which I want to ask you is, how is the cold chain useful in industries? So how does it benefit the industries?
So, see, cold chain is first thing that comes into mind when we talk about cold chain is, it is a place where whatever our manufacturing industries are, you see, they also have a in-house cold chain storage facility, but that is not a very big facility which is storing our products. So, cold chain is a place where you are, able to store more on a bulk amount, and thus availing or increasing the availability of the product to a larger consumer. Secondly, it also ensures that, that temperature abuse at multiple levels is not there. It reduces the temperature review abuse. Thirdly, it would be to ensure that there is a food safety at all levels, because it is reducing the microbial load of the product, or it is ensuring that it is at the optimum required temperature, and thus also it is a factor that would affect the food security of the thing. Thirdly, I would say that cold storage is a good channel for storage and distribution of the product to a mass. And also, I would say that it aids in a better food preservation. Not it is not a part of a technology of food preservation that we use in our industries, but it aids in the enhancement of the food preservation.
Very insightful points over here. So should we proceed to the next question, ma'am?
Sure.
Yeah, so the next question is, what is the future of cold chain?
So see, with the you want to continue?
No, no, please go on.
Yeah. So you see, you in the few years, especially past 5 6 years, there has been a huge shift in the consuming patterns. You will see this QSR pattern has come up very much upfrontly, and this online ordering and quick delivery systems, these are very much into place. Now it is very easy to online order your groceries and everything online and get it in a click of a button within say 10 to 15 minutes. So with this, I would say that the kind of trend that we are going into, and we are moving towards more of urbanization. With urbanization, I would not mean that we were not into urbanization before, but we are into a ever evolving lifestyle, and where people are more preferable to go out into cafes. If you see, earlier the consuming patterns were restricted more to house but now it is more into online ordering and everything. And you will see with the support of government also, a lot of food industries are coming up nowadays. A lot of food processing industries are getting set up. So with that, I think the scope of food industry or the future of industry is going up bright. And according to a global research, the compound annual growth for cold chain from the year 2023 to 2030 has been estimated to go up by 18.6%. So which gives up a boost. And secondly, if you see that there is a, demand for storage, as I told in the beginning also, that there is a demand for food, high demand, increase in demand for food, or increase in demand for storage, or there is a also with the upcoming technologies like blockchain. So this I think this level is going to gear up. This game is going to go up because the more the food industry, and the more there will be a need for raw materials. If we are going for a reverse logistics, the more there is a need for food industry, and the more there is a need for upcoming industries. So there will be a more requirement for raw material production at the, especially fruits and vegetables at the farm level. And for that you need to develop more and more cold chain industries to cope up, and to meet the expectation and meet the supply and demand curve.
Yeah, true. Speaking about technological development, so what are the major cold chain technologies being used in food industry currently?
So, cold chain technologies, see, in food industry, I would say the processing is not dependent on how cold chain will function. We are functioning, or we are developing products as per what is the market requirement. And then we are finding out the ways to store it. For example, if you see, this year has been declared as the millet year. So I am sure that going forward, people will work around that and find out, options, or to make or to monetize millet, to make options how to make options like how to make more of options out of millet. So the technology, I would say, is more likely into how we have been processing foods, like blast freezing or IQF technologies, or those drying technologies, freeze drying, drum drying, all those technologies. Because food processing is cold chain is a part of food processing to enhance the shelf life. So it is not entirely dependent on the cold chain. The processing will happen as per what is the target consumer, and the technology will be used accordingly. So for example, the frozen peas, it will be processed just like it was processed earlier also.
Okay.
Hmm.
So my next question is, how do operations take place in cold chain? Because taking a product from a factory and putting it into the fridge of a consumer, so the farm to fork or the factory to fridge part of the process. So how does operation take place and how does it support the cold chain system?
So, if you talk about a cold chain, so there are primarily there are two functions. One is warehousing or the storage part, then is the logistics and the distribution part. So, if, I will try to connect it. See, what happens is there first comes the picking it up from the farm and bringing it up into your facility, and then you go into the market and then you distribute it. So that is a part. If it is a temperature sensitive product, thermosensitive product, then you have to definitely transport it in a refrigerated vehicle only, depending on the temperature. You It can be frozen, it can be chilled, or it can be ambient as per the requirement. Also there are multi temperature vehicles which comes in the market, where you can compartmentalize the temperature zones and store the product to the service requirement. Then depending on this also, then there is a first mile last mile delivery option. And then there is milk run, where you collect it from multiple vendors, and then you source it and store it into your warehouse, and then you distribute into the market. So first is collecting from the different people or the producers, which will happen in a refrigerated or a reefer vehicle. Then it comes to your warehouse. In your warehouse, then there are temperature checks, and operational level pay, you check that what is the set product of the temperature, and are you receiving it at that temperature or not. And if there is a violation, or if there is a quality issue, or if there is any escalation, then you have to discuss it or with the customer and solve it at the level. For example, if the temperature required is not available, suppose a product is supposed to be received at -25 and you are receiving at, suppose, -20, which is a temperature violation. Then either you then what we mainly do, or what is the best sustainable option, is you plug in the vehicle and achieve the temperature, and then you unload the material and store it in your warehouses as per the temperature requirement, which is -25. So it will go to the frozen one, and then you store it, and then again, as per the requirement, or the as per the requirement, market requirement which is placed, then you again load it in the temperature controlled vehicle, and then you go for a distribution model. Now, there can be a multiple ways of distribution and multiple ways of collection. For example, if I say an ice cream, just like you stated. So for an ice cream also, ice cream can go into multiple pockets. Like, suppose I'm collecting it from a, say, Amul factory. I collect it from an Amul factory, I store it in my warehouse, and then I can either go for DMart, where I can give the DMart people to distribute, or I can give it to the normal shops, local kirana shops, and also it can go to hotels and restaurants and these big institutions. Similarly, if you see QSRs, so QSRs, if you see QSRs, in QSRs, what they have, they whatever product they have multiple manufacturers for that. They collate all the products and give you a final product. So for example, if you have a pizza, so pizza base is from somewhere, pizza sauce is from some other person, cheese will come from some other manufacturer, then pizza toppings will come from another manufacturer, your blends will come, those oregano seasonings and chili flakes, all these will come from some another manufacturer. So again, that has to be whatever ingredients. So for example, your veggies will come in a chilled condition, not in a frozen condition, right? But your pizza bread, or you can say, that will come again in a chilled condition. Or your you can say those tacos which you get, so those frozen roti flakes, that will come in a frozen condition, or for that. So that every product requires a temperature and a kind of special care on its own. And basis that, whatever is the requirement, you have to collect or store it from the manufacturer and take it at your end, and then you deliver it to the market. So that is a basic operation. And also, obviously, transportation plays a big role into it, in providing the uh, refrigerated transportation. So there also you can have multiple type of logistics. For example, if I have, suppose, 2 3 people, so I can collect it from 2 3 different vendors and bring to my warehouse and then store it. So that also optimizes the cost. And then then I can also, for example, if I take a QSR, for example, say Domino's, if I say, if that is the most staple example. So Domino's will have multiple stores in multiple city. So depending on the requirement of what store has what requirement, I will have to take the material from the warehouse and deliver it to the store, because at their store level, the level or the stock inventory management is the stock inventory space for storing that inventory is very low. So depending on that, there will be a cycle on which they order, right?
Very insightful. I am very sure all the students will be loving this session and gaining a lot of insights from this session. A gentle reminder for all the students. So if you have any questions, do drop them in the chat box so that we can take up the questions at end of this discussion. So I would like to go to the next question, which is what are opportunities in cold chain management?
So opportunities, if you see over, you will see there are multiple opportunities from the, FSSAI also, and from the government of India and National Cold Chain Board also, and they have started this integrated cold chain and value added services project also, where they invite the cold chain manufacturer, cold chain. Builders to build the cold chain right at the farm level, and then it can go up in the supply chain. So that is one. Also, nowadays there is a lot of support from the government in terms of providing loan and subsidy. So I think there is a huge opportunity in that terms, in building up a cold chain. And there are organizations like ASHRAE or ISHRAE. ASHRAE is American Society for Heating, Refrigeration, and Air Conditioning Engineers, and ISHRAE is the Indian chapter for the same. So they are also very much amped up with providing trainings for especially all these engineers to build up the cold chain. This organization has been there forever, but now the initiatives are much more. Also, if we talk at a global level, so our GCCA and World Food Logistics Organization, WFLO, and GCCA is Global Cold Chain Alliances. So they are also promoting multiple opportunities and schemes for development and promotion of cold chain. And GCCA obviously was set up for that purpose only, because it was a merger of Indian integrated refrigerated services and integrated transport services, so which is both warehousing and logistics. So all these organizations, ever since it has started, they have been promoting this. And I think after COVID, I think the world has seen like a real importance of cold chain in terms of storage, because that was the time when everything was stuck. So then at that time the food processors, they were struggling for storage, and cold chain came to really did come to rescue. So I would say opportunity in cold chain is huge, and the expansion is supposed to be, exponential. As I already mentioned, that CAGR is expected to be 18.6% in the coming 7 years. So I think I think it's only a northward curve towards the expansion of cold chain.
Yeah, great, great to know this. Speaking of opportunities, what is the major challenge in the cold chain industry?
So one of the major challenge in cold chain industry is to get a skilled manpower. Especially in India, we still struggle to get skilled manpower, because if you look at there are different zones where people work. So one is at the high level, and then we are at the floor level where all this picking, packing operations which happens. So if you talk about that, so I think there is a very dire need to set up, an organization or create a place where more of learning happens. Because earlier it was like very restricted, but handling of food, slowly consumers are also becoming very much aware of how the food is being handled and how they are getting it on their plate. So handling of food chain, or handling of the food, is one of the important factors. So one is getting skilled manpower is one of the biggest challenge, I would say, at this point of time. Secondly, see, it is cold chain is also slightly market dependent on how your food trend is going to be. So there, although there is, the food industry is ever increasing, and there is it is not supposed to have any kind of recession or something, but still it is something that it depends on the market game. Then, and also it depends on existing policies, or whatever new initiatives, or whatever that government is bringing, and whatever is, like, for example, there was a small period of time where due to this COVID and due to this Ukraine Russia war, all these factors, this impacted, the supply of food throughout. So that is one factor. Geopolitical issues, all these factors play an important role. But if we say at this point, if we have to address, I think manpower would be one of the most challenging point.
Very insightful and informative. Let's go to the next question, which is how are cold chains and supply chains connected with each other?
So supply chain, when we talk about supply chain is something when we talk about, so a few common words like farm to fork or end to end supply chain. These are the things that comes to our mind. So again, going back, if we talk about again the food processing sector and talking about perishables and everything. So supply chain or food chain are very interconnected because see, at every point there is a need of cold chain in the sense, for example, place from where your milk is harvested, that is the dairy place or the cow shed from where you are just taking the milk supply. From that point, because we all know that milk is a very susceptible item, and without a temperature the shelf life of milk is less than an hour. So from there your supply chain starts. Cold chain, from that point it starts. Similarly, for food produce, when you are harvesting, your cold chain importance, it starts from that point of time. First is that people sometimes they are not very knowledgeable about harvesting of the products. Like suppose which fruit or which vegetable has to be harvested at the optimum time, so that the shelf life is good, it is good for processing, and it goes to the right vendor or the right market. So when you harvest it, from that point you have to create a space where you can uh, make a space for reducing the field hit, so that till the time it reaches the processing unit, it does not get damaged or hampered. So your need for cold chain and supply chain is interlinked in the sense it starts right from the farm and it goes up to the consumer. Because for example, if I manufacture an suppose a cheese, and it goes in a normal vehicle, till the time the consumer gets it, it's spoiled. So at every step there is a need for cold chain. So cold chain, you will say like when we are talking about cold chain, one is the storage part and one is the mobile cold chain, which is your transport part. So that is how your supply chain and cold chain links. So the I think I would say the important cold chain is a kind of adding value. It is a kind of a value chain to your food chain or your supply chain.
My next question is what are the different types of cold chains?
Okay, so different types of cold chain. See, one is your very small or moderated refrigerated rooms. Then we have a industrial room setup, and one is a combined where you can have a mix of both. Second, this is a overview of the cold chain. Now, if you talk about the kind of produce that you are storing, so one is a commercial where you are storing, just cold and frozen products, and one is those ripening chambers where you are providing controlled atmospheric temperature or modified atmospheric temperature to ripen the products, like especially apple, banana, and then there are some onion, and onion is not a modified atmospheric or Ca temperature, but it is a kind of a cold storage. Then you have oranges, and then you have some kiwis. So so one is your food processing or food ripening and storage kind of a cold chamber, and second is your industrial room cold chamber. So these are two broad categories. Also, if we talk about pharma, in pharma we have a active cold chamber, we have a passive cold chamber, and then there is a hybrid cold chamber. So active is the one where you use a proper refrigerant and a refrigeration kind of system, and you store it. And passive is, if you would have seen those gel packs where you just store some medicines and then you just do the transportation part. So that is passive. And hybrid will be a mix of both when you are doing a storage. So maybe it's a customized design where you're building the cold storage for the farmer, and it is a hybrid. So yeah, so that is a cold chain storage at a large.
Speaking about cold chain storage, my next question is what are the FSSAI requirements for cold chain infrastructure?
So for a FSSAI requirement part C, so when they are when you are applying for a FSSAI license or FSSAI certification for a cold chain, so they will firstly evaluate that in the area that you are setting up, is there a cold chain available over there? Secondly, what kind of industries are in and around that area for to promote your cold chain? Then what kind of manpower do you have, and what kind of infrastructure do you have? Uh, Also, I think there is a specific turnover regulation that if your organization is having a turnover of about annual turnover about 12 crores or up to 12 crores, then you have to only apply for the license. If it is above 12 to 30 crores, then you have to register for the certificate. And if it is 30 or register for the license, and it is above 30 crores, then you have to go for your state level registration with the local body. And if you have cold chain in multiple cities or multiple sites in a same city, then you have to again that will depend on each unit what is the turnover, and then you apply accordingly. And for setting up an HO head office, you have to have a central registration as per the FSSAI norms. So all those will be available in the FSSAI website. Also, they will evaluate your blueprint that you have submitted, the potential of the potential to properly maintain, or the electricity, the insulins, the safety. All those factors are there as per whatever the sanitary measures, and then other factors like insulation, refrigeration. So whatever is mentioned in the schedule of that FSSAI for that cold chain setup, they will evaluate all the factors before giving for when you are applying for license. One more important factor would be what is the qualification of the person, or how much qualified manpower you are having for making or building up the site. So
Very,
these are
very,
the factors. Yeah.
yeah. So it was a very informative answer. I hope all the students are asking questions in the chat box. I can see a lot of questions coming. Other students, I would request you if you have any questions to put them in the chat box and clear all your doubts in this session. So my next question is there any course or specialization available on cold chain technology which students or any professional can do?
I think it is available. I think you have to check for that in the NCCB board, and also you can check for ISHRE website. There would be definitely some courses available to develop it, for the development and for building and constructing of cold chain.
Okay, great. So my questions are over. I would like to start see the questions from the chat box and start asking questions from the students side. So one of the attendees asking, India is a growing business place for food manufacturing. How future ready are we in terms of meeting logistics demand?
Okay, so see, as I stated earlier, also the government is amped up and providing pretty much of subsidies in. So the rate of subsidy would be between 30 to 35%. That depends on the kind of potential your business is, and the loan may depend upon 70 to 75% of your business, and it can go up to 10 lakhs, which is provided by the government. And this growing, the fact that India is a place for a growing manufacturing industry, and that is why the government has come up with this integrated cold chain and value added services program to promote more and more manufacturing sites and the farms to set up the cold chain and go ahead. So, if you go for a review, you will see that the growth in terms of, I think from 140 million, we have grown to some 180 million in last 3 years in terms of cold chain capacity growth. And also, if you go for reviews, you will see that the need for cold chain setup warehouses is the query or the requirement is increasing day by day.
Uh, a very growing and booming sector.
Growing and booming sector. So
Yeah.
growing and booming sector currently at this point, what I think is a QSR and Horeca. So these are the two sectors which are growing, and they are the major demanding sectors for the cold chain industry. Also, the dairy industry is growing, and there are seasonal industries. Like for example, if you talk about export, so buffalo meat is, I think India is one of the major countries which exports buffalo meat. So in cold chain industry comes into play over there as well. And then again we have seasonality, like seafood is there, so there is a specific season for seafood, which would be around the rainy season. And then again, then we have a dairy season. So according to season also, in some seasons there will be a peak season, and that time it will grow. For example, if you see around October and November, these two seasons are one of the peak seasons. And then again, the season for this produce, like it will become lean, and then again it is taken up by QSR and Horeca again. So QSR and Horeca, if you see, is growing up. If you see brands also which are coming up nowadays, like Rebel Foods and Eat Sure and all these brands, these are more into QSR business only. So yeah, QSR business is one of the biggest player at this point of time.
Great. Let's go. Let's take another question from students. So, Rishabh is asking, what is the minimum investment for cold chains for commercial?
See, this is a very subjective point, because that depends on what kind of target customer you are having, or what is your insight on the business. If you are setting up a customized build to suit warehouse, which has been made up, or which has been asked by a certain person to be made up, like if I am giving you these are my certain requirements, and you need to build up accordingly, and these are the certain things that we are going to cater. That is one requirement. So for example, if I take a example, like all these online delivery apps, like Big Basket, or you say Swiggy, Instamart, or Frazo, or Ninja Cart, all these, whichever are their online delivery apps. So their target is, or say Amazon Fresh. So their target is to deliver fresh produce, and whatever is FNV. So FNV, chilled and frozen section will be very less. You will see the focus is more on dry item. So that kind of development and that kind of construction would have a different cost, because also it depends on what kind of product you're storing. Because depending on your product, you will have to take different licenses from the government bodies. If you're storing marine, then you need to take mpda. Then if you are having more of exports, then you have to take eia license. If you are having pharma, then you have to take drugs and cosmetics license. If you are having say more of retail customers, then you have to take brc license. So that the entire cost depends on what is the kind or what is the target. So for example, if I say I am storing in a, if I'm building up cold store in a area which is more of a fish area, then it will be mostly a frozen infrastructure. Frozen infrastructure is usually a costlier part, because when we talk about that uh, uh, refrigeration cycle and the our vapor compression cycle, so the load on my compressor would be more, so my cost will be more. So it is a very subjective kind of a thing that depends on what kind of product or what produce you are storing, and what is your target, or what is how you want to expand your business, what kind of business you want, or what kind of customers you want to attract to your business. So for example, if I want that I have all kinds of categories in my plate, I can store fish also, I can store eggs also, I can store meat also, I can store dairy also, I can store qsr also, I can store fresh agro produce also. Then I would go for a customized warehouse which contains of multi temperature zones like frozen, chilled and dry. If I want that, no, my this facility, only in this facility I want only seafood to be stored, then I will build it accordingly, and my compressor load capacity will be accordingly. So that is one thing. Secondly, kind of the state you are in, the place where are you, your land cost is there, then your manpower is there, then your license is there. Basic license like fssai license, iso 14001 license. Then your whenever when I am making it. So what is the area, what is the capacity I am making it. If I am making a warehouse which has got around 10,000 cubic unit storage space, then the cost will be different. If it is 4,000 or 5,000, then it will be different. So that is completely a subjective matter, and that will depend on what kind of facility you are having, what is your plan, what is your infrastructure that you are going to put, and what you are going to cater to.
Very, very informative. It is a power pack session. So many things we are coming to know for the first time. So, I know we spoke about main challenges that we face in cold chain technology, but one attendee has asked, considering the Indian scenario, what are main challenges we face in the cold chain logistics, and what are the action plan to mitigate the same? So, do you want to add something uh, other than what we spoke earlier?
So cold chain what is the exact point when we point out
So,
logistics?
yeah, so the person wants to ask that what is the action plan to tackle the main challenges faced in the cold chain industry?
Okay, so I think the idea is so when so even for us also, the idea is to go for a more of training sessions. Also, see, we are always in a position of strengthening the cold chain. When you are working in a cold chain for a long time, you come to know what are the challenges, and your focus would be to more on mitigate the challenges in the terms of whatever the challenges, you strengthen it. So for example, there are multiple factors like data logger is there in your chamber. When you are making your products, when you're transferring it, when you're sending it from one place to another, you put those gps trackers, and you put the data logger in your vehicle to monitor, to real time, for a real timing monitoring of what is the current temperature that you are having in your vehicle, and is it at the desired temperature or not. And you can if it is not there, then you have a pop-up alarm or a buzzer kind of a system that would help you to alert you that this is beyond the threshold limit and now you need to work on that. Also, talking about the labor part, I think training and more of training and development and learning is one of the key solution to finding the solution for the challenges that we are facing.
Okay, great. So, talking about training and development, one attendee has asked that is there any internship program for food technology students to get experience in the cold chain industry?
So National Horticulture Board provides such kind of internship programs, and I believe National Cold Chain Development Board also provides such kind of internship programs. You can check to their website and get more in touch about this.
Okay, I hope the doubt of the attendee has been cleared. So, my next question is any top cold chain logistics companies in India that you would like to recommend? Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible. Continue, Riddhi.
Yeah. I'm very sorry. Due to rain, there was some network disconnect from my side. Yeah.
I think,
So the
yeah, we
next,
can.
uh, yeah. So the next question which I want to ask is, considering the recent scenario, supply chain is labor intensive. What are the recent automation in the industry which is currently practiced? So the automation part which is being practiced in the industry to reduce the labor intensivity.
So, see, one very commonly used technology is barcoding and RFID. So, barcoding is something which is very efficient in managing your location or managing your inventory in terms of shelf life, in terms of where you have placed it in your warehousing, and where you are ultimately delivering in, and even at the POS level. So barcoding is something which is being used widely, and RFID is also one of the techniques which is used widely. These two techniques are one of two major people things, or two major drivers which are helping to overcome the labor intensive part. But in cold chain industry, especially in frozen, there if you go for a cold chain, it is bit challenging, in terms of putting these technologies, because what happens is, you have to have that kind of infrastructure also. And plus, when you talk about cold chain, it is expensive at first, it at that level only. And when dry and chilled is not a challenge, but when you are having a temperature of -20, -25 degrees, at that point, your that HST level scanner which you are holding at hand and scanning, that does not work, or Wi-Fi routing or network is not there. But it is not overcome, it is not that it is not able, we will not be able to overcome it. People are working on it, and at it has got a success rate also. But yeah, that is also one challenge that we have, and we are in cold chain industry, all the cold chain enthusiasts and the technology developers, they are working on it.
Very insightful. So I would like to ask students to put their questions in the chat box if they have any, so that we can we can all get our doubts cleared and learn as much as we can from this session. So I will wait for 1 or 2 minutes for everyone to post their questions. Otherwise, we can conclude the session. Ma'am, would you like to talk anything else about your experience in this industry?
So, see, cold chain to begin with, it is very different from what you read in books, because there is some practical real life issues which happens which no one of us is prepared of. And, it is easy to say ki, you make a warehouse, this should be the parameters, and, this is how you lay the warehouse, this should be the racking of the warehouse, or this should be the space design and how you load it, and how it looks like just a, just a simple click and you get it. But practically, as I think one of the attendees has also mentioned it, that it is a labor intensive scenario. uh, it is really a labor intensive scenario, and when you actually go and it is work on it, it is like very difficult to work, especially in a cold chain where you have a temperature varying from -25 to +25 in such a various range. It is challenging to work, but yeah, it is, I would say, it is very insightful. And it also, you can see where the food processing industry is going at. And you can also understand like at what pace the organization, or the what pace the growth for customers, or the growth for the industry is happening.
So one question from my side and on behalf of all the attendees. So a lot of budding young food technology students are here attending this session. So I would like
Yeah.
to ask, what should a student do in their college days to get a hold on technical skills and get a hold on the technical knowledge in terms of food technology? So what can they
So
do?
see, yeah, so vocational training is one of the best way where you can get hands on with the technical training. Also, try working on projects which are very relevant and current with the industry, or just not as a part of your curriculum, but if you are interested in working on blockchain, or if you are interested in cold chain, or if you are interested in some technology like say nanotechnology, so try working on that, or try researching more on that, and having a hands-on experience on that. That really helps to level up the skill. Also, if your organization or if your institute is providing you uh, industrial visits, try to maximize it to the maximum level. Industrial visits are a very very good way of having a on-field knowledge, and getting a grasp of your, it is like what to say, it is like a visual transformation of whatever you have read on the books. And try to get as much as vocational experiences you can go for. Usually different institutes will have a different curriculum, but at least a 3 to 4 month vocational training in an organization is preferred, so that you can grasp, because when you go as a fresher, and I think 1 month will just go in understanding only that what you have to do, or and what the entire thing functions. So at least a 3 or 4 month thing is good enough. Yeah. And try to be as much curious as you can be. So, yeah, so that helps.
Yeah, very insightful. Uh, attendee has
So if you,
asked that, yeah, please
yeah, please go ahead.
continue.
So also, if your organization is arranging for some lectures, or guest lectures, so try to get the best benefit out of it. Or if you are having some contacts or connections with some of the industries, or try pushing your organization, your institute, to go for industries which are providing some kind of guest lectures. Guest lectures are also very very helpful in these platforms. They also create a kind of a bridge or a kind of a platform where you can actually come. Also it gives you an industrial exposure and also helps you to gauge yourself.
Very insightful session, very power packed session. So one of the attendees has asked that how we will get a certificate. So for all the students wondering how they will get a certificate, so all the registered users or all the registered attendees will get their certificates by 19th of April in their mailbox. So you will get it via your email. And in case if anyone wants to find the registration link, so it is given in the description of this video. So you can go into the description and check out the registration link. I would like to conclude the session as all the
I,
doubts have been cleared.
before we
Yeah.
conclude, I think one of the attendee has asked any top cold chain logistics company. Uh, I just missed the question. To
Oh,
name a few
sorry.
in
Yeah.
India. Yeah. So you just not to brag about it, but yeah, I take pride in saying that Snowman Logistics is one of the leading organization in terms of cold chain in the country. And Snowman organization, from the position it started back in I think 1990. 1998 or 1995, it has been, the growth has been phenomenal. And we have been adapting technologies, and we have been trying to be at par with most of the food organizations in the across the nation. And yeah, so that would be it.
Great, ma'am. Thanks for answering that question. Yeah. So I would like to conclude this session. So on behalf of the team at FoodYaari, I would like to thank you, Miss Sneha Agarwal, ma'am, because you have taken your time from your busy schedule and enlightened us with all the information. It was truly an excellent session, and I'm sure everyone over here knows a little bit, not even if not a lot, about cold chain insights and opportunities. I would also like to thank Team FoodYaari for organizing this great session and for helping out students each and every time. Lastly, I would like to thank all the students, all the attendees for their enthusiasm and discipline in ensuring that this session runs smoothly. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night and a great weekend.
Thank you, Riddhi, for having me over, and thanks to Team FoodYari for having me over. And it was really a good session for me as well. These questions are kind of really nice and fresh, and it also challenges you as a working professional to go back and think about it. And I would also like to acknowledge Team Yari. You guys are doing a great work. I have been following Team Food Yari for quite some time. Keep up the good work. Amazing.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your kind words.
Yeah. Thank you.